You followed all the advice you could find, every online tip, every forum recommendation. You quit caffeine, you tried supplements, you downloaded the apps, and your tinnitus is worse than it was 6 months ago. That's exhausting and it can be defeating. And after a while, you might start to wonder if you're the problem. You're not.
If you're navigating hearing loss or struggling with ringing in your ears, then you've come to the right place. The All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast is your go-to source for expert insights, real stories, and cutting-edge solutions in hearing health. We'll dive into the latest advancements in hearing healthcare, explore groundbreaking treatments for tinnitus, and offer practical tips for better hearing. Here to help you tune into a world of better hearing, here's your host from Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus, Dr. Layne Garrett.
I see this all the time in my clinic. I'm Dr. Layne Garrett. I founded Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus in Utah, and I've been treating tinnitus for over 20 years. And the habits that actually are making it worse, they're not the ones that anyone's ever warned you about. Today, I'm going to break down the 5 everyday habits that worsen tinnitus, and then I also want to talk about what helps too. But first, I want to clear up one of the biggest myths that I see online, and I still hear my peers tell their patients regularly, and that's about caffeine. You had to quit, right? Because everyone says that that makes tinnitus worse. But here's the kicker. A 2014 study of 65,000 women found higher caffeine intake was associated with lower tinnitus rates. And a 2021 review of 142 studies found that there was no clear link. Caffeine withdrawal does not improve your tinnitus, it just makes you miserable. I see patients all the time who've been caffeine-free for months expecting relief that doesn't come. So if cutting caffeine has not helped your tinnitus, that's why. Now, let's dig into the 5 habits. The first habit is not protecting your ears from loud noise. A 2021 study found that 53% of people with noise-induced hearing loss had tinnitus. Exposure to noise over 115 decibels causes damage to the ears, and concerts regularly exceed that. So do power tools, lawnmowers, and even hair dryers. The noise damages those little nerve endings in your inner ear. Your brain detects that broken signal and turns its own internal volume up to try to compensate. That compensation is what causes the tinnitus. And the damage is cumulative. Last month, a patient sat across from me and said, "I just went to one concert, just one." He kept replaying it in his head like he could maybe undo it. His tinnitus had been mild for years, manageable, he hardly even noticed it. Background noise that he'd learned to live with. Then, one night, pushed it over the edge, permanently. And the hardest part, it wasn't really one night. It was years of tiny exposures, construction sites without hearing protection, loud restaurants, headphones too loud in the car. The concert was just the final straw. The fix? Wear hearing protection when you need to raise your voice to be heard. Keeping musicians' plugs in your car, and take breaks from loud environments every 15 minutes or so. This is the kind of preventable mistake I see all the time. Now, noise can physically worsen tinnitus, but what I'm about to describe doesn't damage your ears. It just keeps you stuck in a cycle of tinnitus. I see it all the time. People checking their tinnitus 5 times a day, rating it, analyzing it, trying a new supplement every 2 weeks. That constant monitoring of your tinnitus, that's what keeps your brain locked onto the sound. I see patients who've tried 15 different supplements, 3 different devices, every sound therapy app, vagus nerve stimulation that they read about on Reddit. They're rating their tinnitus severity 5 times a day, keeping detailed journals, analyzing every fluctuation of their tinnitus. But here's the truth. If you're trying all this stuff, you're not really healing. You're feeding the anxiety loop. Every time you check your tinnitus, thinking, is it louder? Did that food make it worse? What about this supplement? You're telling your brain, tinnitus is dangerous, keep watching it. Your brain has a built-in filter called habituation. It learns to ignore unimportant sounds like your refrigerator and traffic, air conditioning. That same process should happen with tinnitus. But when you're always monitoring and treatment hopping, you prevent that habituation. You keep your brain in threat mode. The constant search for a cure reinforces that tinnitus is something catastrophic that must be fixed right now. I had a patient who spent over $3,000 on supplements in less than 6 months, and her tinnitus had not improved. In fact, it got worse because she was more anxious and hypervigilant to her tinnitus than when she started. The fix? Reduce checking behaviors. Notice when you're doing it, redirect your attention to something external, and stop jumping from treatment to treatment every 2 weeks. Give evidence-based approaches time to work. We're talking months, not just days. The next pattern I see all the time is lack of sleep. A 2024 study found that people sleeping less than 7 hours had 28% higher risk of bothersome tinnitus. Sleep disturbances, 78% higher risk. During deep sleep, your brain's waste clearance flushes out all the inflammatory waste. No deep sleep means that waste accumulates, increasing neural irritability in your auditory pathways that makes your tinnitus louder and harder to ignore. I see patients who are only getting 4 to 5 hours of broken sleep and confused why their tinnitus keeps worsening. The sleep deprivation is keeping their brain in a hyperactive, inflamed state. And it's a vicious cycle. Tinnitus makes sleep harder. Poor sleep makes tinnitus worse. The fix: good sleep hygiene. Cool, dark bedrooms with no screens for an hour before bed. Gentle sound enrichments, not trying to mask the tinnitus completely, but to give your brain something else neutral to process. And if you're struggling with chronic insomnia from tinnitus, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia works better than sleeping pills long term. Then there's stress, and this one is huge. A 2023 study found psychosocial stress has the same probability of causing tinnitus as occupational noise exposure. Over 53% of tinnitus patients reported worse symptoms during stressful periods. Stress doesn't just make you notice your tinnitus more, it changes how your brain processes sound. Chronic stress releases hormones that increase glutamate activity in your auditory system, making neurons hyperactive, which directly increases tinnitus volume. Stress also activates your limbic system, the emotional part of your brain, and that creates a feedback loop where tinnitus triggers stress, stress makes tinnitus worse, creating more stress. I had a patient managing a terrible job situation, aging parents, marriage problems, and she kept asking why nothing worked for her tinnitus. The stress was overriding every treatment that we tried. Until we addressed the stress, nothing else could help. Now, I understand you can't eliminate stress from your life, but you need to find strategies to manage your nervous system's response to it. The fix: regular stress management isn't really optional. Exercise, meditation therapy, whatever works for you. What matters is doing it consistently, not waiting until you're overwhelmed. Cognitive behavioral therapy for tinnitus addresses both the stress response and the thought patterns keeping you trapped in the cycle. And there's one more factor that often shows up along stress: jaw tension. Clenching or grinding your teeth, especially at night. Your temporal mandibular joint sits right in front of your ear canal. When you clench, you're putting pressure on this joint, and that pressure radiates into the inner ear structures. A lot of people with somatic tinnitus can actually change their tinnitus volume just by moving their jaw. Clenching makes it louder, relaxing makes it quieter. Just last week, a patient told me her tinnitus spiked 6 months ago. We did some investigating and we asked her when her stress peaked and when she started waking up with headaches. 6 months ago. Connected? Absolutely. We got her to a dentist that specialized in TMJ, who got her a night guard. We addressed the stress, and her tinnitus dropped noticeably within 3 weeks. Many people don't even know that they're grinding their teeth until the dentist mentions tooth wear or they wake up with jaw soreness. The fix for this one is, if you wake up with jaw soreness or headaches, talk to your dentist about a night guard. During the day, you can also check your jaw tension and see, are you clenching right now? Practice keeping your teeth slightly apart with your jaw relaxed, and address the stress that's driving you to clench your teeth in the first place. Now, if you're doing all of this and still struggling, that's not a failure. That's when you need comprehensive professional help. So what does a proper tinnitus treatment look like? It's not just, here's a sound app, good luck. You need a comprehensive evaluation that identifies what's actually driving your tinnitus. Is it hearing loss, jaw issues, stress, anxiety? Usually it's multiple factors. Effective treatment will address all of them, not just one. That might include properly fitted hearing aids with real ear measurements if you have hearing loss, or cognitive behavioral therapy to address the anxiety and thought patterns, sound therapy protocols that are done correctly, and sometimes advanced treatments like linear bimodal neuromodulation. And you need objective tracking, not just the question of how's your tinnitus doing, but actually measure whether the treatment is working. Things like heart rate variability to see how your nervous system is responding to treatment. If your provider is not offering comprehensive evaluation and evidence-based treatment, that's a red flag. They don't know what they're doing. Bottom line, the habits that genuinely worsen tinnitus aren't about caffeine or salt for most people. They're about noise exposure, cure chasing, and constant monitoring, poor sleep quality, stress management, and jaw tension. Fix those 5 things, and you're addressing the actual mechanisms driving tinnitus severity. But if you've been struggling alone with this for months or years, stop trying to figure it out by yourself. Get comprehensive help from someone who actually specializes in tinnitus treatment. Which one of these issues is showing up in your life right now? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're serious about actually improving your tinnitus, you can start with the free learning center that I have built. It's found in the link below. And if you're here in Northern Utah and want a comprehensive evaluation that looks at the real drivers of your tinnitus, not just a basic hearing test, you can schedule with us.
A world of better hearing and relief from tinnitus is within reach, and we're here to help. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast right now and join us on the journey to clearer sound and a richer life. Thanks for listening to the All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast with Dr. Layne Garrett. We'll see you next time.